YouTube channel. Hey there, everyone. Welcome to Reedsy Writing with Shaelin and Jenn and me, Martin. We're coming to you from opposite sides of the Atlantic here on a Friday in June. Thank you all for taking the time to join us. It's a pretty hectic time in the world and there's a lot to sort of mull over, but we're glad that you were able to join us here just to get ourselves out of it for a bit and get some writing done. As always, I'm joined by Shaelin and Jenn. Jenn, are you still in Connecticut?
Oh, yes. Not going anywhere right now.
Good. And Shaelin, you're back on Victoria?
Yep.
Would you say on Victoria, in Victoria, as an island?
I would say in. Because the island is Vancouver Island. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yes. Cool. Would you say you're on Victoria? Oh, yeah. You wouldn't say you're in Vancouver Island, unless you're like stuck in a mountain somewhere. Anyway, folks, I can see you all in there. I'm glad to see so many of you from all over, from England, Wyoming, someone from Toronto, Canada, always well represented here by Canadians. So, yeah, as it normally works, Jenn, would you like to sort of explain the format of this?
Yeah, so very chill. We pretty much just do 15 to 20 minute writing sprints. We usually get about 3 of them in. So pretty much for all you folks at home, when we'll put the timer up, you just go ahead and start working on whatever it is that you're trying to get done this week for writing. If you're editing, if you're writing new material, if you are outlining notes or whatever writing kind of stuff you do. At the end of the timer, we come back on and share updates, struggles, joys, anything that we've been dealing with during that sprint. Chat briefly to give everybody a chance to kind of refresh and recenter, and then pretty much do it all over again until the write-in is done.
Cool. Shaelin, what are you working on this time around?
I am working on the novel that I've been working on for like a couple months now. It's about ghosts. Well, there are ghosts. I don't know if it's about ghosts. I don't even know if it's about anything.
Yeah, whether ghosts are a metaphor for something, who knows?
Yeah, probably.
Cool. And Jenn, are you still working on your superhero series?
I am, which is kind of a weird genre to be working on when there's so much discord and injustice being talked about in the world and everything. It feels at the same time both meaningless to work on something silly like this, but also very meaningful because superheroes can represent all kinds of things that are happening in the world. So it's kind of just a weird feeling to dive back into something when things have come up so much in media.
But yeah, glad you can still make it with us and get some work done. We have a question here from Caitlin Summers asking how long is this going to be? We're going to do 3 sprints as normal, so 20 minutes, take a short break, another 20 minutes, and then the last one's 15 minutes. And we're going to probably stick around a bit at the end if you have any questions on writing for either Jenn or Shaelin. Shaelin, what should people do if they don't have something they're currently writing?
If you don't know what to write, we've got a couple resources in the description of this video. We've got like our writing prompts, plot generator, tons of generators and stuff that you can kind of check out if you want to start with like a bit of a free write and have a bit of a point to work from.
Cool. Yeah, so you'll find it in the descriptions, if that is where it is on the screen. Just click through to it if you just need a title of something or a character name. We've got you sorted there. So I think people are still coming in, so we'll give it a few secs. If you'd like to share, folks at home, what you're working on during this, we'll throw it up on the screen. You can share it with us. Otherwise, we'll plan to start this in about a minute or 2. We have loads of people asking for names. Okay, well, Kurt asks, what is the point of these speed writing exercises? Jenn, you might be able to shed some light on this.
Pretty much one of the difficult things when you're writing is actually just getting yourself to sit down and get over the mental resistance that you have in order to start and make progress. Because once you're actually into a story and working on it, it's a lot easier to build that momentum and keep moving. But a lot of people do have trouble sitting down and actually just getting those first 100, 200 words. If you have especially a social activity like this, it can be a lot easier to just shut your brain down and go, okay, this is what I'm working on right now. Outside issues don't matter at the moment. I'm just going to work. I'm going to get as much done as I can. And for a lot of people, by the time they're done, they actually feel more refreshed and able to keep working on their stories.
Cool. We've got some folks responding. Nicole is expanding on something that started from one of the prompts. Glad to hear that. Levi is writing a new story today. Oriana is working on an outline for her first novel. Very excited about it. And the smiley face going the other way, Rebel. We have Heidi working on a story about a female servant who got abducted by pirates. Always a good theme.
Pirates. Amazing.
Who doesn't love pirates? Working on the novella that they've been working on. Fantastic. Si Tang is starting a new novel today. Oh, thank you for doing right here.
A novel. That's so exciting.
Yeah. You could become, this could become like those cafes in Edinburgh where everyone claims that Harry Potter was written there. Si-sang, once you get your book out there, we'll have to put up signs around here saying this is where it all started. Okay, well, we're a few minutes in. If anyone joins late, they won't hear this because nobody watches every of these from the start. But I'm going to throw up a timer. We're going to put 20 minutes on this thing. And yeah, we'll see you all right at the end. All right, everyone, have fun. Okay, so ends our first sprint. While everyone writes in to share like how that first sprint went for you all, a question has come in from Ebony Page, asking Shaelin, are you wearing a Half Moon Run shirt? Oh, sorry, you're on pause. You're on mute. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I am, yes. Good catch.
What is that?
Oh, Half Moon Run is a band.
Okay. Are they local or?
They actually are local. Yeah, they're Canadian, but they're also fantastic. So.
Yeah, actually Canadian, incidentally fantastic. Cool.
Yes.
All right. Let's see how everyone's doing. Some folks are talking about their progress in the first one. KitKat 2009, who's been here a few times, just deleting whole chunks that she wants to rewrite and not actually rewriting them. But we've got some decent progress.
We've all been there.
So, Jen, how did that one go for you?
Pretty good. I got a little over 400 words there, so I'm happy with that in a short time.
Are you where in the book are you right now? Are you in the revision period, or is this your first draft?
I do things very all over the place, all at once. So my own self-edits get done throughout. It's hard to really delineate cleanly between drafts, but I am working on drafting a new scene at the moment.
Shaelin, how's yours?
It was okay. I didn't write that much. I think 250, not bad. But I'm happy with what I wrote. There was a lot of, I think it was more Googling than writing, but sometimes that's fine.
Yeah, these days, 60 to 80% of all writing is just Googling, right?
Yeah.
Oh, we've forgotten. What should we be asking people to do?
Like this video and subscribe and turn on notifications if you haven't already. Then you will not miss any of these future write-ins.
Fantastic. Oh, Ellie got 3 paragraphs, not sure of the words, drafting by hand from the David E. Kelly school. David E. Kelly, the screenwriter who apparently writes everything on yellow legal pad and then has some poor assistant write it all up afterwards.
I know that Kristen Cashore, I think is how you pronounce her name. She's a YA author, YA fantasy, and she writes all of her documents by hand and then types them up.
I guess that sort of makes sense, almost as the editing phase. You can edit as you transcribe it into the computer. You definitely see that working.
Yeah.
Ionic Shock. Hey, new guy, first stream with you guys. Here's the big question for both of you. Can you see him?
Yes.
Yes.
You can.
We can see the avatar, but not you. So don't worry. Wherever you are at home, you are safe. Joanne the Feo, CPA. It's just after tax season. Actually, no, we're in the middle of tax season, right? Wrote 213 words for editing along the way. All right. Oh, we have a Kristen Cashore fan. Cool. All right. Sweet. We'll give everyone about another 20 seconds or so to do what they need to do. And then should we get on with our second sprint?
Yeah.
It's good.
Also, just have to say, Martin, that alarm sound, definitely the best one yet. It was so non-shocking.
It was just
It didn't
the
spook
like
me at all.
ding. Okay,
Yeah.
because there are like a bunch of others. You want me to run you through the options?
I think I like that one.
Just hit the bell.
All of the other ones are like terrifying.
Yeah, we're okay.
So if we're happy with the bell, we can stick with that one.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah, that one.
everyone, you've had time. If we're all settled back in, let's put another 20 on the timer and see you guys at the other side. And so ends our second sprint. Let me unmute Shaelin briefly. Hide this little screen. Oh, John Vila says his internet connection went down, so he's written precisely 0 words. Sorry to hear that, John. I suggest you should raise your hand, maybe? Where's the sirens coming from?
No, that's me.
It's not to know. Was it? Ionic Shock has asked a question that, frankly, I've been following along. I'll check it out in this next session, and we'll be able to respond, perhaps. How's that for everyone back at home? And Shaelin, how's that for you?
Good. I think I wrote like about the same amount as the first one, like around 250. But
Okay.
they're like good words, so I'm happy with it.
All right. And Jenn, how's it?
Yeah, pretty similar. I think it was slightly less, but I was also taking some time to figure out a couple of plot points, so that's fine.
Good stuff. All right, just showing up some of the word counts here. Passanta 401, Mo Colby I showed already 360, Debbie 538. Well done, everyone. We're just going to have another one of these, so we're probably going to make it a little bit shorter. But yeah, we'll just take a minute or so just to let that sink in. Yeah. God, I've run out of things to talk about.
So I just want to remind everybody that even if you're seeing people with like much higher word counts, even if you are struggling with yours, like that is frustrating for you, obviously, but it's okay. Whatever pace gets you through it, whatever gets the words out in the end, if you have to back up and delete some words and then write better words, it's all part of the process. We're here to support you no matter whether you're doing great, if you're struggling. Yeah, we're here.
Cool. Yeah, as we mentioned before, we're going to stick around and you have a chance to ask Shaelin and Jenn any questions you have on writing and or Canadian bands. So stick around for that. Maybe take another 30 seconds or so. And should we say 15 minutes for this one?
Yeah.
Do a proper sprint to the end. We've got a blue color timer this time. All right, everyone. Glad you could stick around this long. See you at the end. Do stick around. 15 minutes on the clock, and away we go. Okay. And that is that. Let me bring myself back on screen, hide this. Oh dear. Give me a second. All right. Not sure if there's a bit of a lag. Let's count down from 3 to 1 and see what happens. 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay. We're sort of all together. All right, everybody. Thanks for sticking along. Feel free to share how that last one was for you. But we'll be on here for another 10 minutes or so, answering any questions you might have for Jenn and Shaelin. First of all, I guess I should ask you, have you guys ever gone to any writing conferences back when we could convene in places and heard writers speak?
I've gone to some events, panels and stuff, but never a full conference.
Okay.
I've gone to events at writers festivals, but I've never done the whole 2-day whole conference thing.
Okay. I was sort of getting at is have you ever sort of seen someone speak on writing where it's actually completely changed how you see, I don't know, some element of writing or the craft itself, or any sort of event or person that's completely blown your mind? I guess the bad answer is no, but
probably I'd remember.
Well, for me, not in person. Most of the stuff that I've gotten from writing that has been really revelatory has actually been stuff that I've read online.
Is there anything in particular that sort of sticks in your mind that sort of really flipped a switch?
I remember reading, I don't remember where I read it because I just pull things from social media and whatever, or different blogs and resources. But I do remember a plotting trick that will spoil every movie you ever watch at this point. So if you don't want to hear it, mute the screen for a little bit. But pretty much if you tell the readers the plan beforehand, it's going to fail. And if you keep it secret, it's going to work. And I see that all the time, and I think about that sometimes when I'm crafting my own stories and things. It's just a little thing, but it's everywhere.
It's actually funny you mention that, because I remember the first time I heard that was in a class. It was a workshop. There were 15 people in the class, and during the workshop, one of the other students was oh, well, if you say the plan succeeds, and it said that, and the whole class, including the professor, everyone's mind was blown. No one had ever heard that before, and we all had to sit with that for a moment, but
cool.
It will definitely ruin all movies for you.
First question coming in from Joanne, CPA, tax season. How do you market your book? I guess, Jenn, you're a self-published author, you've put a few out, how have you gone about your marketing?
A lot of my marketing is based on ads and the occasional price promotion. So dropping it down to 99 cents for a week or two, blasting different advertising services with it. I do also run regular ads on Amazon. I have researched Facebook ads, but never been quite brave enough to try them. I know I should, but that's more complex. So I'm still... We've got
a free course on it on Reedsy that you could check out.
I do, and I've read it, and it's great, but it's still just a little scary.
LEX has a question for Shaelin. What was your first novel? A great moment to pitch it. How have you improved, and what tips would you give to beginners?
Well, first of all, interestingly, the protagonist of my first novel's name was Ellie.
Oh my god, we're in a misery situation right now.
Yeah. I wrote my first novel. Actually, at this point, it's been a decade since I wrote my first novel. I was 13. And it was called Silver Bird, and I genuinely remember nothing about it. I don't remember what happened. I barely remember the characters. I know that the main character got stranded on an island, and other than that, I really could not tell you what happened. It was just a whole mess. It's exactly what you'd expect for a 13-year-old novel, where it's just nothing that happened had continuity or logic. and random characters like kept appearing just because I didn't know what to make happen, and I was like, I'll just add someone else and add a random thing and add this, and nothing tied together or had any cohesion whatsoever. But I think like when I think about my first novel, like it's not a quality work at all, but I just see it as like the thing that gave me the confidence to know that like I was capable of writing a whole book. And it served its purpose for that, and I don't really like regret the fact that it's really poorly written, because I don't really expect better of myself at that age. I don't know if I could even say like what I've improved on since then, because it's like literally everything. Like I did everything wrong in that book that you could have possibly done.
I guess just to say, it's one of the hardest things, it sounds like, is actually getting that first book done to sort of prove to yourself that you can do it, and then you shouldn't be too worried about not being able to finish the ones after that, I guess. Like, it's just, I think everyone puts this pressure on themselves that their first book has to be a masterwork. I think I was listening to a This American Life where they talk about the taste gap, this idea that people do struggle between what they're able to write and what they're able to acknowledge as good. Because, you've read all the books that you like, and before you're able to actually write that sort of book that you absolutely love and you want to rave about, you need to sort of get past like a load of rubbish. Amy's got, you can't read this, Jenn, but it's a statement. Amy says, I like seeing the cat tree behind Jenn. All great writers have cats. Although Amy's both holding a rabbit and wearing bunny ears. So that's an easy fix.
Well, I had a rabbit when I was a kid. So, rabbits are not a bad animal either. But right now I do have 2 cats. Yes.
We've got a question. You can take this one, maybe. This is from Anna for you, Jenn. She asks, what are your thoughts about using dialect in short stories? But I guess we can expand this out to, what do you think about using dialect in fiction?
From a reader's perspective, I don't really like it when it is written out super phonetically. I don't mind if there are linguistic quirks that reflect the dialogue. I think that's great. I just don't particularly like reading things where it's going to be written out phonetic, so I have to like work harder to figure out what the word is. It just slows down my reading experience. But yeah, you definitely do want to find ways to make sure that your dialogue is engaging and interesting and unique to that particular character. And if you can work in aspects of the dialect in order to do that, that's a great tool to add some depth and personality to somebody.
Shaelin, have you ever tried writing? Like, how do you sort of distinguish between characters when you're writing them? Do you have like sort of a strong regional voice, or do they?
Usually not. Like, I've written one short story where like the narrative was written in a dialect, kind of, and there wasn't a lot of dialogue, but the dialogue was also written in dialect. And that was difficult because like there's a lot of consistency to pay attention to, and obviously the voice like kind of changed, and as I was writing it, I did things like slightly differently, and I wasn't great with the consistency there. It's not something that I usually implement in novels, just because I feel like, I mean, like maybe slightly, but I feel like kind of like what Jenn said of like writing out phonetically or hitting it too hard can almost make it seem like you're like turning the character into like a caricature sometimes. But I don't know. I feel like maybe like it might have its place in the right piece, but not in others.
I guess as long as it's authentic. If it's like your own voice is a very different thing from if it's not from your culture. Like Irvin Welsh writes in Scots dialect in a way that you almost have to tune into it. You have to read a couple of chapters before you can really tune into it. But he writes the way Edinburgh folk speak, and it is like really effective. But that is because that's the way he speaks as well, and it's very it's specific and accurate enough that it doesn't throw. Let's see, got a few more.
I will also, on the subject of dialect, you do also want to make sure that when you're writing it, you're not doing it in a way that is making it sound as if that particular dialect or accent is like wrong or not normal, because a lot of people, when they're reading it in their head, will be reading it in that accent or that dialect just because that is how they speak. So you do want to just keep an eye on it when you're using it and make sure that you're not trying to signal inferiority or otherness or something like that with it.
Yeah, because there's the tendency to, when you do the dialect, you do the accent, it's because it's funny, and sometimes the implication is it's because they're dumb, which is the last thing you'd want from one of your characters. I've got a question here. I'll throw it at Shaelin first. Any advice for creating characters? Caitlin asks, specifically when you can't get a grip on who they are and what they want. She's working on a short story and the main character is just evading her, just doesn't know who he is.
I mean, there's like a lot that goes into creating a character. So I'm trying to think about like what the most concise thing I could say. I'd say like for a short story specifically, because it's a short story, writing a character for a short story is a little bit different for a novel. Like if you're writing a novel, you might do a lot of really detailed like backstory and stuff like that. But for a short story, I think you really just want to hone in on like one really, really interesting thing about them to explore. And there might be other details that you also reveal, but you want to have like some kind of focus that is key to the story, like what it is you want, like what aspect of the character the story is kind of exploring or like revealing. I'd say like you kind of talked about you can't get a handle on what the character wants. I think it's good to think about like either, like I had a writing professor who would always say like, what does your character yearn for? Like maybe not just in this situation, but like in their life. And then I think it also I like to think about it with short stories is like, what does the character want that they know they shouldn't want? I think is like a good way to have like a lot of conflict in a short space. I don't know if that helps at all, but those are some things that like I often come back to.
We've got Bardanino has chimed in with something about dialect. I like the way Stephen King uses dialect. He writes the word normally, liar, but then says in his accent it became liar, and he sort of does it phonetically. So I guess he just sort of gives like a little indication, a little hook into what it sounds like, just so the reader knows like, how to frame it. And so it doesn't become, super, it doesn't stick out in such a massive way. You understand that there is a dialect, that there is an accent, and the reader can sort of keep that in mind and probably filter a lot of the dialogue through that. So that's a great tactic. Okay, I've got another question, I think. Oh, this is going back to the beginning. My current story ends with the main character being killed off by the pirate captain. I hope this is the same story we saw earlier. Does anyone have any advice about emotional build-up, since she basically leads on some of the crew? It's very exciting. A female pirate captain who kills her crew by the end. Very exciting. Any advice for creating, I guess, an emotional build-up within the short story?
I think that if you have sufficiently crafted characters that people relate to and that they want to root for, and that if they understand the stakes going up to the climax, you should ideally have a lot of emotional impact just right there. That's definitely the groundwork that you want to lay for it. Specifically, you do want to pay attention to like the timing and the tension as you are building up to the moment where they get killed, which is kind of a whole art in and of itself and can't really be condensed into one tiny little answer. But everything from like the level of description that you use and the kinds of words in the description that you use to just the sentence and paragraph length, you want to make sure to just keep an eye on how fast or slow you're approaching things and what you are putting the emphasis on as you're leading up to that impactful moment.
Hedy explains the main character is the girl, the captain is the one who kills her. Bit of clarity. But I guess, if it's a short story and then, the twist at the end is the captain kills her, then, it is about betrayal. And for there to be a betrayal, there needs to have been a trust. So you can then start asking questions about, why is the girl trusted the captain? Is she in need of something? It could be a cliche, but it's like, is she in need of a father figure she never had, of a friend, of some sort of person that she had trust in? you can find a way to establish that within the story, that sort of need she has, and then for that betrayal to come true, you want to feel like she's safe in that trust, only for that to be betrayed. Okay, I'll see if I can hunt down one more question. Let's see. Will you spot anything you like there, Shaelin?
Let me scroll for a second.
For those of you wondering, my device, I can't see the comments on it because I have a really slow computer.
Someone asked, what would you prefer for new writers to start writing first? Short stories or novels, etc. You might be able to see that one, Martin. It's like pretty close to the end of the chat there.
Yeah.
I would say that the most important thing is to start with what appeals to you more. Like if you just don't have an interest in short stories, maybe you want to start with a novel, or vice versa. But at the same time, I think, like, I started with novels, like, I'll own up to that. And so, like, I think that that's fine and that's a viable path if that's where your interest is. But probably you'll get more starting with short stories just because you don't have to commit to something that could take, like, upwards of a year plus to write, which can be kind of intimidating. Like, it removes, like, the stakes, like, the stakes aren't as high when you're writing a short story. So, like, you can kind of feel like you have more freedom to just like learn, maybe mess up, and it kind of gives you more chances to get feedback and try like different techniques, different types of stories, different types of characters. But really, like, I think this is personal preference, and if you have an idea for a novel and like that's where you want to start, I started with a novel and I like to think I turned out fine.
We have one last bit here. Ionic Shock, who joined us late, mentioned that they had a short story sent to us. Would like to know if we want to see the story. How would like you to send it to us? Just between us, squirrel friends. Well, we don't want to read the story, and I think this is a good learning point here. Like, it's a great thing that you're trying to get out there and get people to read the story. Getting feedback from readers is a fantastic way to develop, but you also have to figure out the best way to actually broach that and to get people interested in reading your stories. And the thing we always try to tell people is that you have to give something first. So you mentioned earlier going to a beta reading site and posting it up there and looking for readers. Like, the thing is, like, if you join a new community and the first thing you put in is, can I please have something? You're not really going to get probably a positive response. Whereas a lot of people who do this successfully will turn up somewhere, offer to read a bunch of people's stories already, give something first, and then as soon as they become entrenched there, people become really receptive to helping you out, reading your stories. But people's time is precious. It's like 9:30 on a Friday night. I'd rather not be doing this. But if you go out there and show that you're willing to participate, you're willing to give first, you'll find people a lot more receptive to helping out. Do either of you work with like beta readers that you like have never met before?
I have in the past. At the moment, I don't. I have controversial opinions on beta reading, so like maybe we should pass this one over. Nothing wrong with beta reading, but like in my opinion, it's like a lot of work for not the most useful feedback. Like, it's so much work to organize beta reading. So like at the moment, I just work with like a critique group and like people who like I know and have known for a couple of years, and like we exchange work with each other. But like it's certainly like a viable option, and I have done it in the past, and like sure, it was a lot of work, but like there were still useful takeaways to be gained.
Okay, so maybe like a critique partners, I guess, is maybe a better use of it, to like a little circle of folks where you share short stories with, and like who reads your stuff before it goes out, Jen? Is it your husband reads it?
He does read it, yes, but I also do have a number of writer friends that I run early drafts by. I have a critique partner and a couple of people in a workshop that I can reach out to, a couple of other writer friends that will sometimes read them if they have time. My critique partner will read whatever I give her, but the others, it's more depending on the situation.
Okay. So yeah, not to put you off Ionic Shock, but I think generally, like, when you ask people, can you give this to me? Can you please look at this and give me feedback? Like, you'll probably 9 times out of 10, you'll probably get a no, but there are ways you can set yourself up to ensure that you get more of a positive response. And that is like putting the effort out first. Okay. Oh, this is probably a yes/no answer, but Axel Boos asks, have you ever written in shared universes with other authors? Well, I guess, Jen, like you write fan fiction, right?
No, I don't write fan fiction. All of my superheroes are original characters, so even that is not a shared universe.
I've never done that. It seems cool though, but I've never done it.
Does someone in our office write fan fiction? Where they get that mixed up?
I don't recall hearing that someone writes fan fiction.
Okay.
Although if one of our coworkers is watching, feel free to message me later and tell me, because that would be fun. I
haven't been sleeping so much of late. Anyway, we have a lot more sort of events turning up on Reedsy in the next couple of weeks. If you go to our Eventbrite page, search for Eventbrite Reedsy, we have a few things that you can sign up for absolutely free. We have our First Line Frenzy coming up in 2 weeks' time. You can submit the first line of your story or book, and Rebecca Heyman, who's one of our editors, will critique it live on YouTube. She's fantastic. They're a lot of fun. You'll learn something. Like 9 times out of 10, she won't like your first line, but she'll be able to help you make it better. And it's a lot of fun. And then after that, we have another event with Jeff Lyons, who is like a story expert. He's like a Hollywood guy, but he helps our authors develop structure to their story. And he's doing a logline workshop where you'll pitch your book. When you sign up, you'll fill in a form, pitch your book, and we're going to bring, I think, 3 or 4 people onto this presentation, like Jenn and Shaelin are, and Jeff and the guests will have a discussion and actually talk through building the logline for your book, which will then help you create your synopsis and stuff. It's both like a selling line and something used to help work out your story. But yeah, if there's nothing else, is there anything else you guys like to say?
I don't think so, but it's been fun. So thanks for showing up, everyone.
Yeah, we'll have another one of these, no doubt, in a few weeks' time. We'll put it up on the Eventbrite page, so keep your eyes peeled. All right, have a great weekend, the two of you.